Today I am going to show you how to make a rubber stamp on your laser. Here's what you need. Laserable rubber stamp material, which is linked in the template. You also need craft foam. You can get this at the dollar store, the craft store, also Amazon. And your choice of wood, I like using 1/4 inch. So this is the stamp we're going to be making today. You can see in the preview here, this is going to be the top of your stamp where your design is engraved into the wood. And then this is going to be the bottom with your stamp rubber engraved and attached to the bottom of that wood. So when we hit download SVG, it's going to download this file. It's going to include the top wood engraved bit, the foam that you'll need to cut, and then also the stamp rubber. I've included some instructions here about what to cut for your reference. So we're just going to hit download SVG. That is going to download, and then we're going to import that into Lightburn. I've imported that SVG file into Lightburn here. You can see when I click on it, it is all grouped. So we're just going to go up here and click this little guy to ungroup it. And I just want to see how much it ungrouped. Yeah, so that is too much ungrouped. I'm going to undo that. And I am then going to group that again. I'm just going to deselect the border, the cut line, and I'm going to hit this button up here to group it. Now, the important thing for engraving this stamp rubber is that you need to create a ramp, which is like a little ramp at the side of each engrave, which keeps the not engraved part, so the part that's actually going to stamp on your paper, keeps it nice and sturdy and strong. If you just engrave and you have straight walls down, that little section, especially where it's really thin, like the ear section here, can wobble around. So we want to create a ramp for that. So I'm going to select this, and I actually have my stamp rubber saved as a layer down here. So I can just change that to orange, and I will show you what my stamp rubber engrave settings are. So if I go over to my material library here, this is actually linked to my orange layer down here, but I will show you how to get to the ramp setting. So if we just double click on that, I use a line interval of 0.08 and a line per inch of 317.5. But if you go under the advanced menu here, this is where you're going to want to put in your ramp length. So I use a ramp length of 1.98. You're going to want to keep this ramp outer edge off. You can also hover over it, and it says disable this for stamp making. So your laser may have different settings. I'm using a 100-watt laser, CO2 laser, and then I use a speed of 200, max power of 70, minimum power of 20. Like I said, you're going to want to experiment with your own laser to figure out what your best settings are, but you definitely want to have a ramp length for when you're making stamps. Now we are just going to send each of these components to the laser to cut, and then we will assemble. Now we have all our pieces cut. So we have our stamp rubber, our foam, and then 2 layers of wood. One is engraved, one is just plain. The best way I have found to clean the stamp rubber, because it can be a little stubborn, is actually to use WD-40. I like it in this little pen tip. So I'm going to clean that off and then scrub it with a bit of a toothbrush and soapy water, and then we will assemble. I'm just going to assemble all my pieces using Gorilla Glue Gel, which is my favorite super glue. We're going to glue this to this, this to this, and then this to this. I always test my stamps before I send them out to the customer, so I just have a black ink pad here, and I will test it on a blank piece of paper to make sure it looks good. Looks pretty good. So I package mine in a little muslin bag. So I'm also going to stamp the bag and then put the stamp inside. I hope you found this helpful and that you're going to try to make a stamp yourself too.